got loyalty, got royalty inside my DNA. I got killer beats, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA.
Ayamatsu if. Re-Zero fans, today's story is not part of the main timeline. This is a completely different path, a dark what-if scenario that changes everything we know about Subaru's journey. This special IF story was originally released as an April Fool's 2017 side story by Tappei Nagatsuki. But don't let that fool you, because the story itself is anything but a joke. In this timeline, the events diverge heavily from the main story, leading Subaru down a far more dangerous and twisted route. The choices, the relationships, and even the future of Lugunica become completely different from what fans have seen in the anime. But before we begin, there's an important warning. This story contains spoilers for Arc 5 of Re-Zero starting life in another world. So if you are completely spoiler-free and want to experience future arcs blindly, this may be your last chance to leave the video. However, if you've already read Arc 5, checked wiki summaries, or regularly follow Re-Zero discussions online, then you should be perfectly fine. One of the biggest spoilers involves the hidden ability of an enemy character from Arc 5, so keep that in mind while watching. Also, this IF story was written in a slightly different style compared to normal Re-Zero chapters. The original version avoided traditional dialogue tags almost entirely, giving the story a more unsettling and unique atmosphere, making it feel separated from the main timeline itself. And honestly, that style fits this story perfectly, because Ayamatsu IF is not a heroic tale. It is the story of what happens when Subaru walks down a path that should never have existed. So sit back and prepare yourself for one of the darkest alternate timelines in Re-Zero history. Imagine waking up face down on cold, unforgiving stone, your body refusing every command your brain screams at it. Your arms won't move. Your legs won't respond. You are, for all intents and purposes, a prisoner inside your own flesh. Now imagine that's the least of your problems, because somewhere deep inside your stomach, not hunger, not nausea, but fire, an inferno that doesn't just burn you. It consumes you, wave after wave, relentless, merciless, like the world itself decided you owed it a debt paid in suffering. That is where we find Natsuki Subaru, broken, bleeding, and somehow, still refusing to quit. His mouth opens, and instead of words, blood pours out. The kind of pain that goes beyond screaming, the kind that steals your voice entirely and replaces it with something raw and animal. And in that moment of pure agony, his mind does what desperate minds always do. It asks, why? Now, Subaru is no saint. He knows that. He never pretended otherwise. He lived the kind of life that doesn't make it into inspirational speeches or motivational posters. He skipped school. He wasted time. He made choices he wasn't proud of. But here's the thing, so does everyone. Every single human being walking this earth carries guilt they won't confess to, regrets they bury under layers of routine, and compromises they make just to get through the day. Nobody is pure. Nobody is clean. So why was fate singling him out? Why was the punishment that everyone else got to quietly ignore being delivered to him in full, brutal, unfiltered doses? Ah, damn it. Just a whisper. Just 2 words. But packed inside them is everything. His fury at his own powerlessness, his exhaustion, his rage at a world that keeps dealing him the cruelest possible hand. And then, something remarkable happens, even while the fire devours him, even while his body breaks apart at the seams, even while death itself stands at the door with its hand on the handle. A face appears in his mind, her face, and everything changes. This is the part that gets me every single time. Most people, and I mean this honestly, most people, when faced with that level of suffering, would let go, would surrender, would think, I tried, I really did, but enough is enough. Not Subaru. Through the blood, through the agony, through the sheer, crushing weight of a death he didn't deserve, he speaks, no matter what. And a blade, cold, indifferent, final, descends toward what little remains of his life. He doesn't even flinch. He doesn't look at it. Because in this moment, the blade doesn't matter. The pain doesn't matter. Nothing matters except the girl locked in the back of his mind, smiling, walking toward a fate she doesn't even know is waiting for her. We'll save you. The moment those words crystallize into something unbreakable, something beyond resolve, beyond stubbornness, beyond ordinary human willpower, Natsuki Subaru dies. Again. And then, familiarity, the royal capital, the noise of a marketplace. The dust kicked up by lizard-drawn carriages clattering down cobblestone streets. Subaru sits on the ground, drawing tally marks with a stick, one after another. Methodical, deliberate. The way someone counts something they've lost track of but refuse to forget. When he's satisfied, when the number in the dirt means something only he understands, he erases them with his foot, stands up, and sighs. Let's take a moment to appreciate just how strange this man's life has become. Natsuki Subaru, third-year high school student. Truant, owner of exactly one tracksuit and one pair of sneakers. Carrier of one plastic convenience store bag. By every measurable standard, completely, spectacularly ordinary. Except that he is currently standing in a parallel world populated by demi-humans, cat people, lizard carriages, and magic. And he has been here, aware of his situation, for over 10 days now. 10 days of fighting to survive in a world that makes absolutely no sense to him. 10 days of dying, resetting, and starting again. His casual clothes that mark him as a regular guy back home? Here, they mark him as something else entirely, the alien. Not the demi-humans with their animal features, not the lizards stomping down the main streets. Him. Subaru is the strange one now, and somehow, he's made peace with that. Time to go, he mutters, patting dust off his track pants. Now, here's where most isekai protagonists would stumble into the plot by complete accident. Subaru does not stumble. Subaru walks in deliberately. He avoids the crowded main street and ducks into a narrow back street, the kind of alley that exists in every city, in every world, for the same exact purpose. Tall buildings on either side, silence that swallows sound, a dead end behind him. The kind of place where screaming doesn't reach anyone who cares. He doesn't wander in naively. He walks in knowing what's coming. 3 figures materialize at the alley's entrance. Big one, medium one, small one. A classic trio that practically comes with its own theme music. They look Subaru over with the practiced confidence of people who've done this 100 times. An obvious outsider in strange clothes, looking lost, carrying nothing of obvious value. Easy pickings. They smile. Oh, gentlemen, Subaru thinks, or something to that effect. You have no idea. Because here is the thing about Natsuki Subaru that these 3 men could not possibly know. He has met them before. Not once. Not a handful of times. 8 to 7 times. Every loop. Every reset. Every time he returns to this city and this day, Tom, Dick, and Larry are here. Same alley. Same smug confidence. Same fatal underestimation of the tracksuit-wearing kid from another world. And Subaru has learned from every single encounter. He doesn't have martial arts training. He's not secretly a trained fighter. He has no magical power flowing through him in this moment. What he has is 8 to 7 deaths worth of experience against these specific 3 men. That's not a rookie. That is, against these opponents, something closer to a master. It happens fast. Before the big one, let's call him Tom, can even finish processing that Subaru has moved. A stick is already buried in the soft tissue of his throat. Not a sharp stick, just a stick, but wedged into exactly the right place with exactly the right force, because Subaru has practiced this, lived this, died getting this wrong before, and Tom is already out of the fight. The medium one, Dick, barely has time to panic before Subaru grabs him by the hair in the ear and introduces his skull to the alley wall. There's a sound. A bad sound. Dick slides down the wall and stops moving. 2 down. 1 left. Larry, the small one, watches all of this happen in the span of about 4 seconds. And in that single second when he could have run, when his legs could have carried him back to the main street and maybe kept him safe, he hesitates. He looks at his fallen companions. He wastes his only second. And that's that. Subaru's hands close around his throat, lifts him against the wall, and looks him in the eye. Larry's face goes through the full spectrum of desperation, clawing at Subaru's hands, kicking at empty air, his eyes going wide and red. Do you know how many times I've met you guys total? Larry cannot answer. Subaru doesn't need him to. 88. Your share keeps going up. You're supposed to laugh. He isn't laughing either. When it's over, Subaru stands over 3 motionless figures in a quiet alley. He takes a moment, drags them to the dead end, pockets 2 knives from Dick, then steps back onto the main street. Elapsed time, less than a minute. He does not look back. Subaru moves quickly through the crowded Shoppers Lane, the main commercial street of the royal capital, bursting with noise and color and the chaos of 100 lives happening simultaneously. He's looking for something, or rather, someone. And then the crowd shifts. Wait, please, wait. A voice cuts through the market noise like a silver thread pulled taut. Desperate, yes, but even in desperation, there's a warmth in it, a fundamental kindness that the panic can't quite bury. A blonde girl bursts through the crowd, grinning like she's having the time of her life, clutching something that glitters in her hand. Her name is Felt, and she has just stolen something she absolutely should not have stolen from someone she absolutely should not have stolen it from. An ice spear tears through the air after her, actual, crystalline magic, launched in the middle of a busy street, and Felt leaps over it with practiced ease, barely breaking stride. The crowd parts like water around a stone, the citizens of the capital performing the well-rehearsed choreography of "I am not involved in whatever this is." And then, she appears, running, silver hair streaming behind her like something out of a myth, eyes the color of amethysts, blazing with conviction, white clothing that somehow looks both delicate and eternal, like it was sewn by hands that understood beauty at its most fundamental level. She passes within feet of Subaru, and the world, his world, the one inside his chest, stops completely. Everything goes quiet. Everything goes still. Every thought, every sound, every sensation narrows to a single point. Her name, in this world, is spoken with fear and reverence in equal measure. But to Subaru, she is simply the reason. The reason he got up off that floor when his body begged him to stay down. The reason he walked back into that alley knowing what was waiting. The reason he has died, and reset, and died, and reset, 8 to 7 times without surrender. Because she is running toward a fate that ends in her death. And Subaru knows every step of that path. He has watched it happen. He has been unable to stop it. He has failed, again, and again, and again. But not today. Not this time. Subaru watches her disappear into the crowd. And for the 88th time, he makes his pledge. "I, no matter what, will save you." Is a promise worth anything when it's been broken 8 to 7 times before? When the person who made it has failed, and screamed, and bled, and died trying to keep it more times than most people experience genuine hardship in an entire lifetime? I think it's worth more. Because anyone can make a promise once. It costs nothing. It's easy. But to make the same promise after the 7th failure, the 23rd, the 58th, to pick yourself back up, knowing what it cost you last time, knowing what it will probably cost you this time, and say it again, mean it again, fight for it again. That is something rarer than talent, rarer than power, rarer than magic or destiny or any of the things fantasy stories tell us separate heroes from everyone else. That is will. That is Natsuki Subaru. A kid in a tracksuit, standing in a world that isn't his, watching the back of a silver-haired girl who doesn't know his name yet, making a promise she can't hear. Be waiting for me. He starts to move. Satella. Before we go any further, let's talk about the one thing that makes Natsuki Subaru different from every other person in this world. It isn't strength. It isn't magic. It isn't a noble bloodline or a legendary weapon or the blessing of some ancient god. It is a curse disguised as a gift. A mercy wrapped in unimaginable cruelty. Returned by death. When Subaru dies, and he does die, repeatedly, often terribly, time rewinds. The world resets. He wakes up at a fixed point in the past, breathing, intact, carrying nothing from his previous life except the memories of exactly what went wrong. He cannot tell anyone, cannot explain it, cannot share the weight of it with a single soul without consequences he doesn't fully understand. He simply has to know, and keep going. By the time we join him in this part of the story, Subaru has used that ability 88 times. He is, in the language of this world, approaching 100 resets, 100 deaths, 100 fresh starts that were never really fresh, because every time he wakes up, he remembers every single one of those deaths in vivid, exhausting detail. All of it, every loop, every failure, every desperate improvisation, has been in service of one goal: saving her. But saving her means getting through her. Her name is Ilsa Granhit, and she is, without exaggeration, the single greatest obstacle standing between Subaru and the future he's trying to build. A woman commissioned to steal the silver-haired girl's insignia. A woman who didn't just accept that commission, she reveled in the chaos it caused. A hunter not just of targets, but of the specific, intimate pleasure of the kill. Her preferred method: a curved blade. Her preferred outcome: an opened stomach. The people of this world have a name for her, the Gut Hunter. And it is not a nickname anyone bestowed as a compliment. Over the course of 8 to 7 loops, Subaru has faced Elsa more times than he can emotionally process. He has tried everything: direct confrontation, indirect traps, avoiding her entirely, luring her away, bringing in reinforcements. And more than 50 of those attempts ended the same way, with Subaru's belly sliced open. You have to understand what that means. 50 times. 50 separate occasions where he felt the cold edge of her blade find its way through him, where the world went quiet and dark and wrong, and he had to carry that memory into the next attempt like luggage he couldn't set down. He cannot beat her. He has accepted that with a clarity that borders on peace. So his strategy this time around is something different entirely. He becomes a witness. From a rooftop in the most rundown corner of the capital's slums, Subaru watches. Below him, in a crumbling square that barely qualifies as a public space, Elsa Granhit is doing what she does best. The capital's guardsmen, the men and women tasked with protecting this city, with upholding its laws, with standing between ordinary people and extraordinary danger, are falling, one by one, then in clusters. Elsa moves through them the way a river moves through stone, not by force, not by effort, but by inevitability. Her curved blades catch the light as she spins between them, and every time she lands, someone stops moving. She is laughing, not the nervous laughter of someone uncomfortable with what they are doing, not the detached laughter of a professional who's learned to depersonalize their work. This is the genuine, unguarded laughter of someone experiencing joy. Subaru had arranged this. He'd given information to a citizen, an anonymous tip that put Elsa directly in the path of the capital's guards. He had genuinely believed, going into it, that trained guardsmen with magic at their disposal might present a credible challenge to even someone like her. He was wrong. The gap between Elsa and the average guardsman isn't a gap. It's a cliff. And Subaru just watched a group of people walk off of it because he overestimated what they were capable of surviving. Didn't think there'd be this big of a power gap. He murmurs it to himself from the rooftop. Quiet, tired, the particular exhaustion of a man who has had hope fail him so many times that failure barely registers as a surprise anymore, but still stings every single time. He tells himself something that sounds almost practical. If he dies here, the reset will undo all of this. The guards will come back. Nobody will stay dead. He can try something else next time. He tells himself this. It doesn't stop the weight of watching them fall. And then, the carnage stops. Not because Elsa runs out of targets. Not because a plan succeeds. Not because of anything Subaru predicted or arranged or hoped for. It stops because he arrives. Subaru's first impression is that someone lit a fire in the middle of the slums. Because the figure standing at the edge of the square is burning, not literally, not with actual flame, but with the kind of presence that makes your brain reach for fire as the only adequate comparison. Red hair, sky blue eyes, a frame that manages to be lean and powerful at the same time, wrapped in white. At his hip, a sword that is, frankly, too large for polite company. He would stop traffic in any world. But it isn't the appearance that freezes Subaru on his rooftop. It's the feeling that pours off of him. There are people in this world who are strong. Elsa is strong. The guards are strong, in relative terms. Subaru has encountered fighters across 88 loops who could hold their own against things that would destroy ordinary people. And then there is this man, who makes all of them feel like a different category of existence entirely. Everyone, please withdraw, he says, his voice carrying without effort across the square. That woman is the gut hunter. The sacrifices already number far too many. I don't want that count to increase. His name, the surviving guardsmen say with voices shaking at the edges, is Reinhard. Reinhard van Astria, of the Sword Saint bloodline. Watching from his rooftop, Subaru studies Reinhard the way you'd study a force of nature, with equal parts or in the dawning awareness that this is something fundamentally beyond your control. The way Reinhard looks at the fallen guards, the sorrow in it, and the anger beneath the sorrow, tells Subaru everything he needs to know about this person's character in about 4 seconds flat. This is a man who mourns, who is genuinely, specifically angry that these people died, who carries a sense of responsibility for things that were not his fault, and who transforms that guilt into something forward-facing and purposeful. Elsa, naturally, is delighted by him. She looks at Reinhard the way a predator looks at the one prey that might actually make the hunt interesting. But Reinhard's expression doesn't shift. He's not performing calm. He simply is calm, in the way that very deep water is calm, not because nothing is happening beneath the surface, but because the surface doesn't need to show it. Elsa wants to feel his legendary blade, the fabled dragon blade, the weapon of the sword saint, against her own knives. Reinhard's response is one of the most quietly devastating things Subaru has witnessed across 88 loops. He takes a regular sword, a borrowed one, from a shaking guardsman at his side. Unfortunately, this sword ascertains which opponents it ought to be drawn for, he explains, almost apologetically. It doesn't seem that you've earned its graces. In other words, the sacred sword of the sword saint looked at Ilsa Granhit, the gut hunter, the woman who carved through the capital's guards like a seasonal event, and decided she wasn't worth the effort. The insult lands. Even Ilsa, frowns. But only for a moment, because then they introduce themselves. And then they move. Subaru has seen a lot in 88 loops. He has seen Ilsa take apart groups of trained fighters without breaking a sweat. He has seen magic that bends the laws of the world. He has watched people die in ways that never fully leave you, no matter how many resets you survive. But nothing prepares him for what happens in the span of a single second between Reinhard van Astria and Ilsa Granhit. They charge each other like weather systems colliding. And Reinhard swings. One slash. One completely, almost insultingly ordinary-looking swing of a borrowed sword. The result is a maelstrom. Light erupts from the point of contact. Shockwaves tear through the surrounding buildings. An entire section of the slums, walls, stone, years of crumbling architecture, simply ceases to exist in the aftermath. It's the kind of power that doesn't just defeat an opponent. It redefines the vocabulary you'd use to describe the word power. Elsa is still standing. That alone speaks to something inhuman about her. But she is defeated. It is over. And Subaru, watching from that rooftop, knees trembling without fully understanding why, has tears running down his face. He doesn't know exactly why he's crying. Maybe it's relief. Maybe it's the sheer, overwhelming scale of what he just witnessed. Maybe it's the specific exhaustion of someone who has spent 88 loops grinding against an immovable wall and who just watched someone else walk through it in one step. Whatever the reason, the tears are real. Here is where the story gets genuinely complicated. Elsa is alive, barely, battered, bleeding, her outfit in pieces, her pale skin marked with wounds that would have killed most people twice over. She's crouched against a wall in the slums, and Subaru is beside her. He led her here. After the battle, while guards flooded the area searching for the gut hunter, the woman responsible for the night's massacre, Subaru slipped through the chaos and found her. Not to finish what Reinhard started. Not to deliver justice. To help her escape. Let's sit with that for a moment. This is a woman who has killed him, Subaru specifically, over 50 times. Who has disemboweled him more times than most people experience genuine physical pain in a lifetime. Whose very name in his memory is associated with the specific terror of a blade finding its way into his stomach. And he is helping her. Not out of forgiveness. Not out of mercy. Not because he's changed his mind about what kind of person she is. He is helping her because, across 88 loops and 100 calculated failures, Subaru has become something he probably wouldn't have recognized in himself back when he was just a truant high schooler from Earth. A strategist. Not a good one in the traditional sense. Not someone who wins elegantly or efficiently. But someone who has learned, through the most brutal trial and error process imaginable, that every resource has potential value. That enemies can become tools. That loathing and utility are not mutually exclusive. I wanted to put you in my debt, he tells her, flat and honest. It might be helpful to have you around one day. Elsa, in pain, in blood, pressed against a wall, looks at him with those dark eyes and names exactly what she finds underneath his words. When you are so eager to kill me. This is the conversation that shouldn't be possible. Two people who genuinely, specifically want to kill each other, negotiating, cooperating, moving through the dark streets of the capital's slums with Subaru lending Elsa his shoulder while she bleeds on him. He bribes locals with coins from Elsa's own pocket to misdirect the guards. He calculates the fastest route to the southeastern slums where, apparently, Elsa has a sister waiting. He does all the pragmatic, unglamorous, clever work of keeping a dangerous woman alive long enough to be useful later. And Elsa, between sharp breaths and the occasional unsettling laugh at her own pain, watches him. Because she can see it too. The thing that lives behind his eyes. The specific, patient, burning quality of a hatred that has decided it can wait. I do want to kill you, Subaru tells her. Not as a threat, as a fact. And I will, one day. But not now. Most people, hearing that from someone helping you escape, would find it troubling. would question the wisdom of trusting someone who just casually announced their intention to eventually murder you. Elsa finds it delightful. She smiles. This woman covered in her own blood, limping through an alley at midnight, smiles like someone who just received a gift they weren't expecting. You and I are bound by loathing. One day, yes, you will prove yourself right. And it's very, very lovely. Subaru, walking beside her, thinks one word: repulsive, and means it completely. Step back for a moment and look at what Subaru actually accomplished in this loop. Elsa, for 87 previous attempts, an undefeatable wall, has been neutralized. Not by Subaru's hand, and not by any plan he constructed, but the outcome he needed exists. Satella's insignia situation, the chaos at the loot house, the chain of events that kept ending in the silver-haired girl's death, those threads have been cut. The story, as Subaru needs it to unfold, is moving in a direction he can work with. And he has, in the process, formed the strangest alliance in the history of strategic necessity, a mutual, openly acknowledged hatred with the woman who has killed him more than 50 times, built on a promise that one day, when the time is right, they will finish what circumstance keeps interrupting. That's not friendship. It isn't forgiveness. It isn't the softening of someone who decided their enemy wasn't so bad after all. It is Natsuki Subaru, the high school truant, the ordinary kid from an ordinary world, doing what 88 cycles of dying taught him to do, adapting, using every piece on the board, even the ones that have drawn his blood, especially those, because somewhere in this city, a silver-haired girl named Satella is still alive. And as long as that's true, as long as that single fact holds, Subaru will endure whatever he has to endure to protect it, even walking side by side with the woman he intends to kill someday, through the dark streets of a world that isn't his, bleeding borrowed time toward a future he refuses to stop believing in. Let's stop here for a second, because I want you to think about what you just witnessed, not as a fantasy story, not as an anime plot, but as something rawer than that. A boy who cannot win, who knows he cannot win, who has died more times than most people have had genuinely bad days, gutted, beheaded, burned, broken, and who wakes up every single time in the same place, with the same memories, and makes the same choice. Again, not because he's fearless. Subaru is absolutely, visibly, deeply afraid of Elsa, of failure, of the endless loop of trying and losing. The fear never goes away. He just stops letting it be the deciding vote. Not because he's powerful. He bribes people with someone else's coins. He hides on rooftops. He lends his shoulder to a woman he despises because the math says it's useful. He is, by every measure, the weakest person in almost every room he enters. And not because he's certain it'll work. He isn't. He's been certain before, and been wrong 50 times over. He does it because of a girl with silver hair and amethyst eyes who smiled at him once, and because that image, lodged somewhere unreachable inside his chest, refuses to let him stop. That's Re-Zero. Not the magic system. Not the world building, though both are extraordinary. Not the action, not the drama, not the careful plotting of a story that rewards everyone who sticks with it. It's the question Re-Zero keeps asking, over and over, in 100 different ways. How many times do you have to fail before you're allowed to give up? And Subaru's answer, carved in blood across 88 loops, is always the same. One more. If this video hit you the way it hit me putting it together, drop a like. It genuinely helps more than you'd think. If you're new here, welcome. Subscribe and hit the bell, because this story is far from over, and neither are we. And if you're already part of this community, the comment section is yours. Tell me which moment got you. Tell me which character lives rent-free in your head. Tell me if you think Subaru deserves what he's going through, or if the universe owes him something it'll never pay back. I read every single one. The next part is coming. And trust me, it only gets heavier from here. Until then, don't give up.